The United States has everything that we need to continue to lead in social enterprise. We have the talent, we have the capital of all kinds, we have the history of entrepreneurship. What I would say is we need to guard against certain things that will sap our capacity for entrepreneurship and innovation. We have somewhat hijacked the term entrepreneur. We forget social entrepreneur, just entrepreneur, period, to mean a hoodie-wearing billionaire in Silicon Valley. And by the way, no arguments with Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. They're doing amazing things, but there are 25 million small businesses in the US, each of whom, in my opinion, qualifies as an enterprise with an entrepreneur behind it. And if the corner bodega owner or the person who runs a $50 million business in St. Louis doesn't get to consider themselves a business owner, starter, and entrepreneur, then we are going to break the engine of innovation in our country. It doesn't live in any one city. It doesn't take any one kind of capital. It is not one style of mentorship that results in entrepreneurship. And if we want to continue to be robust entrepreneurship factories here in this country, and particularly to blend in social impact and the things we care about, we have to make sure that we allow everyone a chance to be celebrated, resourced, and elevated as an entrepreneur. A real leader has a few very important traits. First of all, the courage to take on a problem and to be out front. Second of all, what I call resource magnetism. That is to say, somehow you've seen those leaders where you just can't understand why it is that people keep giving them the things that they need to succeed. That's resource magnetism. And last thing is the ability to understand and survive through the ups and downs. No leader in history ever, in any sector, in any country, in any era, has ever had it good the entire time. And you know the hockey stick curve that everyone talks about in tech entrepreneurship? The closer you get to that curve, the more you see how jagged every day is. So you need an entrepreneur who has the courage to be out there, who has the resource magnetism to attract what's necessary to succeed, and the grit to survive the ups and downs. A lot of people say that if you're an inspiring young person, that you're a leader of tomorrow. So one of the first things that I share with any young person who sees a problem and has a solution in mind is you can start leading today. A few things to keep in mind though. The scale might not be there on day one. You might help 8 or 10 people your first year, and that leads you to 10 million people in your 10th year, but you have to start somewhere. The other thing to understand is that there's various forms of capital out there. Most people think of cash when I say capital, but there's also talent capital around young people, usually a lot of it. There's enthusiasm and energy capital. There's mentorship capital. There's all sorts of different resources that you can pull in. So if you're a young person who wants to solve a problem, start to take those resources that are ready to hand around you. If you can find an organization like Resolution nearby, and there are many, and we're part of an ecosystem, find them and leverage them, but get started and have that little bit of the first impact that's the beachhead for you and build from there. One of the things we tell young entrepreneurs a lot is you don't get anything that you don't ask for. So even a resource magnetic entrepreneur is out there asking for resources and capital of various kinds all the time. It's more than just making the ask though, it's how it's done. So we talk to entrepreneurs a lot about having a respectful approach and being prepared and knowledgeable. Many people think that all they have to do is ask. But if you don't come prepared and you don't ask in the right way and you don't execute some stewardship and say thank you and be truly grateful, it's very hard to get resources and in fact to do it more than once. So you might get a community to give you resources one time, but if you don't handle it the right way, it'll be the last time you get those resources, whatever resource you were looking for. And I think the other thing to understand is, I once heard a great mentor of mine say no means hello. That is to say, most people will say no the first time you ask them for something, even if you're a resource magnet. And the resource magnets know how to execute the respect, the preparation, the ideas that they need to bring to bear to turn no into yes. And that also takes tenacity and a lot of self-confidence. I think one of the elements of the entrepreneurship ecosystem, the innovation world, that gets the least attention are the organizations that stand somewhat in between the sources of various kinds of capital and the entrepreneurs. And these are kind of the coral reefs. So on organizations like the Resolution Project, but so many more, community venture firms like Rising Tide Capital and the Southern Appalachian Development Fund, organizations like Echoing Green, Acumen, and Endeavor. These organizations have a flora and fauna of entrepreneurship around them. They provide not only cash, but also mentorship, sometimes a place to actually be as entrepreneurs, and they are all over the country. So celebrating what the entrepreneurship ecosystem creators are doing and making sure they have the resources and visibility to continue to create that really great environment, that place where entrepreneurship can grow with support, that's really important.